What is going on? Welcome to Rambling Red Shirts here on Red Shirts Red Remastered YouTube. Welcome. I am Chris, joined, of course, by Patrick and Gio. No Dingus tonight. Spencer is at a Guns N' Roses concert, and so we will be bringing our A game without him because it's much easier to do so without him.
Well, you know what they say, dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
Well, we don't need no Civil War.
Yeah, we don't need no Civil War, and we're all thunderstruck here. It's okay.
Wrong band! Oh my gosh!
Wrong band. AC/DC. Sorry.
Jesus!
I thought that was the joke.
It's Patrick playing dumb. That's what the joke is. Patrick trying to make jokes and using the wrong band.
Right, using the wrong band completely, and then realizing, oh shit, I used the wrong band.
She should have just said, "Oh no, I meant to do that." That was the whole idea.
I might be having let the puppy out already, so keep talking, guys.
Yeah, no, that must be a fun time. I can only imagine. I have personally never seen GNR live. I've seen my fair share of live music, but not them personally. So yeah, shout out to Spencer. Hope he's having a good time, and we'll see him next time, of course.
Yep, I've also never seen GNR live. Would definitely love to check them out if they're ever coming to town, but definitely on bucket list.
Yeah, I haven't been to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, I love Slash. Great hands, fast guitar play, very sexy.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gotten to see a good live show, but I think
there aren't too many good live shows, like quality live shows. There's okay live shows, but good live shows, those are hard to come by.
Yeah, I went through the phase of going to a lot of electronic shows and stuff like that in my 20s and things like that. So probably, and obviously hip hop, and with any, if you know me, then I went to love going to hip hop shows, but I think you get to a point too when you've seen so many different artists. It's like what's left. You want you're gonna re-see your favorites, of course, but there's certain artists where it's like, okay, I'll see them once, and then maybe it just depends whether you're gonna go see them again, and then depends on where you live, of course, too. Not everybody's as lucky to see some of the big name acts as a if you're living in a major city, you'll have more opportunities than.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or you got to consider, like, how far do you want to travel to go to a show?
Absolutely. Like, I've taken a train to another city to see a show before, like solo.
That was probably sketchy going by yourself, I imagine.
It was a little bit, because it was a thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to see this show. I know for a fact I'm not going to miss the art. It was Jay Electronica was the main guy I wanted to see, and Common was headlining the show, so it was a hip hop show.
That's interesting.
And I was like, okay, let's see if I can find someone else who wants to go with me. And at the time, no one really wanted to, and I was single at the time too, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go by myself.
Were you just full on like Geo ready to mingle?
It was interesting. I did meet some people there, maybe there might have been a little flirting here and there, but it was more so I met some cool people. Like there's this one guy who we started talking in the middle of the show because we just happened to be standing next to each other, and then it was a thing where we like kind of hold our place in the crowd, because it's if you're at a live show, people will push past to get to the front. So
or they'll wiggle. or they'll shuffle.
Yeah. So he'd be like, "Hey, if I go buy us some drinks, will you hold my spot?" And at the first time he said it, I'm like, "Sure," because like, what the fuck am I gonna do if someone someone pushes up here? There's nothing I can do about it, and it's like
you just say yes, and you're like, "Okay." Cool.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I mean, or best case, like I'm getting a free drink out of this, no matter what. So
it's a win-win. Unless you don't hold the man's spot, then he's gonna give that drink to somebody else.
Yeah, because this is this is a standing show. This wasn't seated or anything. Yeah. So, but then it actually worked out, and then so by the end I had gotten a whole bunch of free drinks, which is like, as a man, doesn't happen too often. And
from him or just from random strangers?
No, from him, from that particular guy.
So he's a real party animal. Either that, or he was about to go full Bill Cosby on you.
no, I'd considered that. I had considered that one, but
like, is he trying to juice me up, and I'm gonna wake up with my clothes off and like, what's going on, man?
No, it wasn't one of those situations, but I did drink too much of that show, and I won't go into the full story. Maybe one of these days I'll tell it. But it was a wild show. I'll say that much.
Did you wake up like covered in like common merchandise, and you're like, "What happened, man?"
No, but the funny thing was, I had a return ticket to go back on the train to come back, and I was like, "Oh, I'll find a hotel or something, and just sleep till the time I have to get up for the train." And then I couldn't get a place to sleep, so I was like just walking the streets for a couple hours. Then I went into like a Tim Hortons and just sat there for like hours. I like pulled an all-nighter waiting for the train the next morning.
So do you have a crazy story about like instead of like that one time at band camp, it'll be like that one time I was at a Tim Hortons at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Well, Tim Hortons, like that's like the Dunkin' Donuts of the of Canada. So of course he's got a story like that. Tim Hortons. I've never had Tim Hortons, and I tried to go to Tim Hortons at Michigan on my way back to Illinois. Mm-hmm. The other, what was it, last week?
I think that's the closest
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, closest Tim Hortons
is
to
Michigan.
You and me. They're only in Michigan.
Michigan, yep. Yeah, it's because you go to Detroit and you go right to Canada. Wisconsin, there aren't any.
I think there's one in Fort Wayne.
Okay. That makes sense.
But still, that's like 2.5 hours for me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but I go, right? And I'm like in the drive-thru, and I was going to buy some beans for Amber and everything, to be able to, try it at home and stuff. And I was all excited. And they're like, oh, we're at half power right now. We only are taking cash.
Oh, damn.
Shitty.
Yeah, so I went to this other place instead that I forget what it's called, and I got some coffee from there and got like 3 different like frozen drinks for myself for my drive home, 2 that had caffeine in them.
Heck yeah.
They were great. They were great. I forget what it was called though, the coffee place now.
So we're gonna start a project, and we're gonna call the project Getting Chris Tim Hortons.
Well, no, it'll be easy. All I have to do is go back and see Silk. Next time I go to see Silk, I'll make sure I just go there and make sure I have cash on me just in case.
We're gonna have cash. We're gonna get
just in case. Well, and that's the thing. I could have gone to the an ATM or something, and I was like, I'm on my way. I'm like getting ready to leave. I'll just go to a different place.
All the other ATMs in the area.
It was the only Tim Hortons in the area. The only Tim Hortons. That was unless it was a bigger detour, and I was already late getting home, like on my way home.
And then you got to go and find the ATM, pay a service fee, probably, all this other nonsense.
Yeah.
It's like,
I would know because I go. I make sure I go to 7-Eleven and it's a free ATM.
Oh, that works.
Yeah,
there you go.
So 7-Eleven's free ATM for me here. Here where I live now, no, I don't have a free ATM nearby. I gotta go to the shared bank and then do a withdrawal and everything if I want to. It's fine. What?
I just found out they're serving 7-Eleven Slurpees at Speedway gas stations now.
Oh, interesting.
Dude, I'm psyched about that.
I mean, we have Circle K here, and the Slurpees are kind of like the same thing. They're just
which is crazy. We don't have as many Circle Ks here, but man, they are exploding everywhere in America now.
Circle
K.
They have them in Canada.
Huge.
Yeah, they originally I think what happened is they bought out there used to be a lot of Max Milk is what the place was called.
Yeah.
And then you don't see those anymore. I don't know if they entirely got bought out or they bought out a certain number of their locations, but those are all, from what I've seen, they're pretty much all Circle Ks now. So yeah, definitely you see Circle Ks here.
they're exploding, especially like in the last 5 years. Like everywhere they can find a corner, they are throwing up a Circle K.
Yeah, and instead of taquitos, they have tornadoes or something like that.
Seen that yet.
Or twisters or something like that. Something like that. It's like it's just a taquito. That's all it is.
I do love taquitos.
I do love taquitos too. The jalapeno and cream cheese ones from 7-Eleven. Mwah.
I haven't had a good taquito in a long time. You guys are making me hungry.
I know, me. I'm making myself hungry. Speaking of food, actually, I don't know. Did you guys see my post? So Amber buys random crap, and one of the things she bought and forgot about was this.
Oh, that! I forgot about that.
And I'm like, you have this cotton candy popcorn. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Now, first of all, tell me, what fucking kind of llama has a unicorn horn on it? Like,
well, I love how
they're trying to appeal to that teenage, like, what do they call that? Genre, I guess you could say.
I guess
the random crowd. Right? It's where it's randomness. Where, but like, how does that personify cotton candy popcorn?
I don't know. A party.
For anybody listening, it's a picture of a llama with sunglasses on, a unicorn horn on his head, and he looks like he's wearing some kind of something on his.
Like he's got
like jester collar or something like that.
It's like the glasses and the smirk of the Miz from the WWE. Seriously, tell me it doesn't look
surprisingly accurate description.
There's a wide shot. Wide shot.
Yeah,
portrait. Landscape. Portrait.
That's for your desktop background, no matter what.
Versus phone, desktop, phone. Oh no, active Xbox. Phone.
Yes. Desktop.
Give that marketing
a
raise.
This shit is disgusting, and so I'm gonna do a food fails video. I promise, because this shit is disgusting.
We need to call the company and whoever did that marketing, give that man a raise.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Maybe we'll do it during charity weekend. I'll do the food fail and I'll bring it out and actually eat some because oh boy was it bad.
It's crazy too because you don't think that would be something that would be it seems like it would be hard to mess up.
They messed it up, and the problem too is that it's popcorn, so it gets stuck in your teeth. So after you eat a piece of it and you're like, oh, that's disgusting, and then there's pieces of it still stuck in your teeth, so you have to go find something to drink real quick.
You've heard of the gift that keeps on giving?
Right.
The curse that keeps on cursing.
Yeah. Oh, fuck
this is the llama unicorn that just won't go away.
Yes, there it is. The mystical creature. It's the show Gallivant, which lasted 2 seasons. The first season was on ABC, the second on Hulu. And it's a comedy musical, raunchy comedy musical. Fucking hilarious. I really want actually to do a rewatch of it with some of us and do a review because it's fantastic. And it has all kinds of crazy cameos like Weird Al, Ricky Gervais, what's his name's Vinny Jones is in the whole fucking series. Great show. But anyway, there's a part where they run into a unicorn, and the guy who's the unicorn handler is like, "Oh yeah, unicorns are only attracted to the pure of heart. Those have not been touched by a lady yet." And it's the king, and the unicorn's coming towards the king. He's like, "I don't know. Of course, I've slept with a lady. I've been with a lady before. I don't know what this thing's talking about." And it keeps following him all over town. It's fucking fantastic. That's what it makes me think. That's what this makes me think of.
Could you imagine that following the king around town though? He's like, bro.
It's like
gotta get laid, bro.
Do you guys see I know Chris did. Patrick, did you see the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
The newest one?
Yeah, have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
There's one joke that's relevant to that where they're like they're going past these creatures, and they're like, it'll only attack you if you have a high enough intelligence or something to that effect. And then it just casually walks past them all.
Yep, and it yawns. Yep. They're all like on edge, ready to like attack it. It just walks right by them. That's right. It was like the cat looking thing, right? With like the weird flaying, like.
I thought they were just like giant brains.
Oh, that's right. They were the mind flayers. It was the mind flayers. Yes. It was the mind flayers. Not the mind flayers. The God, what are they called?
I can't remember, but it was a good movie though.
Yeah. Mind flayer brains.
I'll say the mind flayer was from what was that? Andor.
No, I mean mind flayer's a D&D thing.
There's mind flayers in D&D for sure.
Yeah, the whole Baldur's Gate 3 is story is based around mind flayers. Cool. But I forget what the brains are. Actually. I forget what the actual brains are called. They're called what the fuck are they called?
Like I should know. I just saw the movie where they're in it.
Yeah. Now Lunga's gonna be mad at me for forgetting. Anyway, oh man. But speaking of charity weekend, well, it is September. It is World Auto-Inflammatory. It is.
Wow. Flying by.
It is. I know it is. And it's World Auto-Inflammatory Awareness Month. September 17th is FMF Day. FMF is Familial Mediterranean Fever. I have familial Mediterranean fever, unfortunately. And we are... Oops, wrong thing. That's mind flayers. We're raising money for FMF and AID Global. Thank you, Matthew Coburn, for your being basically the only one who has donated so far, because my dollar doesn't count because it was the dollar test to show everybody that even you can donate $1. Oops, I need to hold on. I forgot to change something. So the great thing about this system too is that, you know, say you wanted to come watch the stream, right? Well, I need to you can, go to the charity page and still watch the stream. And I can set it between YouTube and Twitch. So if we do a Twitch stream, I can turn it to Twitch, which it was set to right now because I did a Twitch stream earlier. Now I'm going to set it to YouTube so you can go there and watch the YouTube stream. We can have a major inception. Whoa.
Yeah, that happened the other day. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. User fail. But again, I thought it wasn't. There it is. See, because the YouTube version, it does not autoplay, while Twitch it did, and it wasn't muted. And I wasn't used to that. But here, I'll inception us now. Here we go. And then it'll just be inception after inception after inception. I can make it really inception by going full screen on it. Oh, nope, full screen can't I like that. They prevent you from going full screen. Anyway, that's besides the point. Donate money. So FMF, familial Mediterranean fever, and autoinflammatory conditions, they're genetic conditions that affect basically your whole body. Missing the protein in my DNA that controls inflammation in the body. And I have to give myself injections every day. It's tough. I've had a tough time, especially recently, and something I'll probably talk about next weekend, guys. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I probably will bring it up next weekend. I think it's time. But it's definitely James knows what I'm talking about too. He was a part of that conversation. And I'm looking into that book still, James. It's on my wish list on Amazon. But I did I'll get to something else too. But anyway, so we're raising money because when growing up, they still hardly know anything about these. Oh, Jesus Christ. God damn it. Really?
F it.
Really?
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Patrick donating. Jesus. Thank you, Patrick. $10 more. See?
Children.
For the
Get
children.
the ball rolling. Roll the ball. Come
Of
on,
course.
guys.
Of course. Then we run into this issue again where we refresh the page. So now it'll go to us big until it refreshes here.
Give it 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, at least the bar down below now, the bar updated. So that's all that matters, really. As long as that updated, we know it's there. Go ahead, Gio.
I think, the thing that maybe you were about to touch on this is that, for what it's worth, you've managed to live a relatively good life, even suffering with that. But then there's a lot of young people who may not be as lucky as you were, and that's kind of like the whole point of what we're doing here with this. Is it's not particularly for Chris's sake. This is for the children who don't have that, those weren't afforded those same opportunities. So it's they're going through this in ways that we can only imagine. So it's anything that we can do to make their lives a bit better. Why not? Right?
Yeah, and that's first of all, thank you, Matthew, for sharing the link, and also it says shows 16 on his, so perfect. That means it's just my because I'm probably doing too much on the internet right now, yeah, that's exactly right, Gio. Basically affording these kids the resources that they don't have. I was very lucky growing up. I did have good health coverage. I did have good health care. My parents were well off enough and had good enough benefits that I was taken care of. For me, it was when I hit my young adulthood that I really, really suffered. And what I'm trying to accomplish is to make sure that these kids are prepared for that. Because fuck, I was not. I was not. I don't still think I'm fully prepared for it. It's been.
Yeah, it's a continuous struggle, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But every dollar helps. Even if you donate $1, I'm gonna bring this page back up, even though it hasn't updated on mine. To show that. You can donate $1. $1, guys. I know most of you watching, whether you're watching right now live or on the replay, I know that you waste $1 on a daily basis on other crap. $1.
That's the price.
There it is.
Of
It updated. Perfect.
A Tim Hortons donut.
I think those are like $1.89, aren't they?
And it's way less than the cost of a cup of coffee these days. Coffee's just gotten so overpriced. So, yeah, if you could spare just a little bit, every little bit helps. But like we always say, sharing the link around and spreading the word, that's worth way more than donations.
Yes. Well, right now especially. Yeah.
It's a thing where they go hand in hand, right? Because the more awareness there is, then the more we saw the success earlier this year, and the only way that could have happened was through the awareness that was spread. That otherwise that wouldn't have happened, and that was an amazing thing. And then obviously I think that's worth pointing out as well, is there's going to be a lot of people who've already donated then, and so if you're in a situation like me where you might not be in the best financial position, obviously I'm still going to make a donation as well. But
but even $1, helps.
Absolutely.
So if you donate $1, that's helpful. And you're right. Those people who have already donated or can't afford to donate, or who have already and feel like, hey, I can do more now by sharing rather than donating, because I've shown that I care by donating, and now share, people, share, get it out there. Share the QR code banner right up there. That goes right to the charity page. Go to that website in the bottom bottom corner down there, the bottom left of your screen, bottom right of your screen. Sorry, that goes right to the organization's website. We can even, even if on the charity page, you go right to the charity page, you can go right to their website by clicking that I right next to their name. And this goes right to their page to show that I'm legitimately associated with them. There I am on their leadership team.
Yeah, this is all legitimate.
It's all legit, and I always
going to our pocket, not going to Chris's pocket.
Goes directly to them, directly to them,
to the foundation.
Yeah. And, I always worry because, Streamlabs charity, like people it's not GoFundMe. There's other webs, and people don't like GoFundMe because of what they've done, especially up in Geo's part of the woods.
Yep.
And
Vector and all that. Yeah. But that's for a different stream.
That's yes. Different wrong channel, as we used to say.
Wrong channel.
But it goes directly to them. I don't know, most other sites, it's not as simple. This money just goes right to their. You don't even have to go. I'm going to say this. You don't even have to go through our campaign to donate. You could go to streamlabscharity.com. You can just go to charities, go search FMF, boom, and you can click donate, and boom. You can donate directly to them. You don't even go through us.
If it makes you feel better, do it that way.
Do it that way. So far, we have raised $14,575.34 for them. Just through Streamlabs charity.
Hey, I donated a few bucks over there. I wanted to do it directly through the charity. Let us know, and at the very end, if Chris wants to, he could add your total to the final total.
So, and this is all us. All everybody watching, all you guys on the stream with me here right now. An orc who we won't talk about anymore, who just fucked off for some reason. But he helped us raise $14,575.34 plus more, because for the first couple we didn't do them on Streamlabs charity.
No, absolutely. I think that you got to give respect for that. So shout out to Kev for that.
Yeah. So
and February was bonkers. We raised like half of that just in February.
Yeah, just in February is half of that. Holy crap! I know, that was nuts.
I remember watching that live and just seeing that total go up and up and up and up, and that was like in maybe the last 4 or 5 hours.
Yes.
On just like that final push. That was insane what you guys did. You guys are mad. And I mean that. You guys are mad.
Well, and that's the thing.
Chris
Next weekend,
multiple times live.
Oh, of course.
I don't know that one.
Insane.
Shut up, Alexa.
All right, Chris is big mad. But you guys are mad.
No. But next weekend is going to be crazy. So we are going to I'm going to try and kick it off technically next Wednesday. To an extent where
get it all booted up and ready.
It's Rambling Red Shirts. You'll be here still.
Yep.
And we can really kind of officially kick it off. When do you leave? Friday, right?
I take off Friday morning and I will be back.
And you don't work Thursday?
I am off Thursday, but I'll be packing and prepping that day.
Well, yeah, but you can still hang out voice-wise. I
might come in. I might pop in and say hello. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's nothing really, though. It'll be after you're gone when we'll really kick things off Thursday night after Patrick's slumbering. He'll be watching in the chat. He'll be monitoring the chat.
I will be bidding you all.
He'll be hanging out in the chat and posting, tweeting, and twitting and twatting, and all that stuff, and Instagramming. And
you might see some Florida memes in there. I might throw a few Florida memes.
Go for it, man. Hey, as long as it's charity related, go for
it. New location, who dis? I'm looking at a palm tree. Raise money for the kids because I'm looking at a palm tree.
There you go. Exactly. You got it. Yeah.
It'll be some random stuff.
I need you a random picture at your brother's wedding, being like, bro just got hitched. Donate money to the kids.
Donate money to the kids. Because let's be honest, now that he's married, there's going to be kids in the picture.
Oh, shit. Well, hopefully they don't have an auto-inflammatory condition.
As far as I know, her family doesn't. And
what's her family? I mean, because yours is English and
Louisiana.
crap like that. Oh, so but like, what's her
French?
French. Oh, okay,
Possibly French. I don't know her family history that well. So
do we have a last name?
I don't know her last
even
name.
If they do, it's just all the more reason to donate, right?
Yeah.
Her last name will be my last name after this one.
Yeah, Gio.
So,
oh, Gio.
It all works out in the end.
Anyway,
I actually have not officially met my future sister-in-law in person yet, so this will be my first time meeting her. So really excited. It's kind of wild. You're meeting your sister-in-law for the first time at a wedding.
Yeah, well. Matthew Coburn says that Streamlabs charity, perfectly safe, donated several other times. They never bothered me afterwards. Only came back to me the one time after each donation. So he's talking about email wise, and you can check a box like here, and say, don't contact me, or that you can contact me. So, make sure you share that link around. It's pinned. Matthew Coburn shared it. I'm going to throw this big sign up here. Please donate. And let's move on to our picks of the week.
Picks of the week.
I think I'll start with mine. And mine is Smash Mouth. Rest in peace, Steve Harwell. Listening to some Smash Mouth the day he passed, I realized how many of their songs I really, really liked. And how many more songs that I knew of theirs that I had forgotten I had known of theirs. Like songs from the show Alias, and then just random songs from movies that I had forgotten about. And their original big hit, Walking on the Sun, so definitely a sad day, and of course people are like, oh, he did it to himself, alcoholism, liver failure, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, you live that lifestyle, sure, that's going to happen. It still sucks. He's 56 years old, but Smash Mouth, definitely a great band that I grew up with and continue to listen to today. Rest in peace, Steve Harwell.
What's everybody's favorite Smash Mouth song, if you have one?
Hands down, All Star. Just no question to ask.
All Star?
Yeah. And that was mainly because I was introduced to Smash Mouth literally within the first few minutes of watching Shrek as a kid. That's how I got my introduction to Smash Mouth.
That song was... Oh, sorry.
It was everywhere back then.
Yeah, it was
wasn't just
huge.
The movies. It was huge. But like you were saying, Walking on the Sun, I totally forgot they did that song. And I've been hearing it again over and over and over again this week with his passing. And I was like, dude, that song, you don't realize, the more you listen to it, it's like, that song was a really good song.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some of their other, I mean, my favorite song of theirs is probably Walking on the Sun. Yeah. Gio, what about you?
Then the Morning Comes.
Oh, great song. Nice. Yeah, great song. Some of their other songs that we did not mention, I'm a Believer remake.
Oh, I forget that. Yeah.
Which is also in Shrek. It's at the end.
They have one at the beginning of the movie.
One at the end. Yep. Movie. And then Why Can't We Be Friends? They did a version of. Can't Get Enough You, Baby. And those are probably
that's my top.
That's
my top
ones.
3 with them. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the song from Alias was. Smash Mouth.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Alias. Fine. Do it like this.
Yeah, I don't think it can be overstated how big All Star was when that first came out, though. That was ridiculous.
And in the last few years in meme culture, All Star kind of got a second rebirth out of the
absolutely.
Meme scene. Everybody what was it? Just go on YouTube and search All Star by Smash Mouth, but and they'll do some sort of like weird edit or something with it to make it like even more hilarious.
I saw one.
You can sit there for hours just watching the edits. They're so funny.
Yeah, I saw one where they fed it. I think it was All Star, one of their songs anyway, into it was like an AI, and so they were like, they told it to essentially finish the song. They fed the first verse into it, and it had to try to finish the song. And obviously, it didn't do the same as what the original was, but it was some of the attempts were hilarious. Some were creepy, and some were it was entertaining to say the least.
I ought to look into it. There's this channel, I forget, it's called like I forget the actual name of the channel, but it's called like Ruining Your Favorite Music or something like that.
Oh no.
Have you seen this?
No.
Is that didn't you send us one of those?
Yeah, I sent you guys one of those. And what it is they take modern music, but they take like old school crooners and like people from like way back in the day, and they use AI technology to take the voice of those classic singers and get them, like, even the way they sing, like, the song, like how they used to sing the songs back in that time period, they take, like, that rhythm and kind of apply it to modern songs.
Some of those are good, though.
Some of those are good.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, I never want to hear this ever again. This is
the one that you sent us was a little different because it was I think it was Katy Perry, and she was like Melodyne. They used Melodyne to change change her voice to the tune of the fucking the Imperial March from Star Wars. And that was just didn't you send us?
Yeah. No, I don't remember sending you that.
You sent that. Yes, you did send that.
I was gonna say, you gaslighting us right now, Patrick?
No, he's not, but he doesn't remember, but he sent it.
My favorite one, I didn't send to you guys, and I need to send this to you guys. They took the AI and they had it sing like Frank Sinatra, and he was singing that song, To the Window, to the Walls.
Oh my god!
Nice.
And he's singing in the old school like jazz style. He's like, what was it? Yeah, it's like to the window, to the
I've heard that. I've heard that before. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I like it.
This is amazing.
I like it.
I did hear. Recently, I heard it was Old Town Road sung by Hank and Bobby Hill.
That's fantastic. You have to share that one for sure.
I saw one. Oh, it was somebody did another one with Hank Hill. It was that new.
There's a lot of Hank Hill ones. Oh yeah. I think that's why it came up, because it was after I watched the. Yeah, it was after I listened to Rich Man North of Richmond, and then it was in the recommended.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that Smash Mouth song Alias, you probably wouldn't know the name, is called Diggin' Your Scene is the name of the song, but like hearing it, I didn't know the name of it, but hearing it, I recognized it as soon as I heard it when I was listening to that bitch from Amazon. I had her playing Smash Mouth songs for me. You know, I don't want to say her name. Yeah. I don't want to say her name.
Who shall not be named, or she'll go.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Or she who shall not be named. I guess.
You know what's crazy is the more
misgendering her.
It's crazy how like our in-home technology has slowly become like Voldemort.
Well, I think it's funny.
Except when you say their name, they actually recognize who's saying it. Whereas Voldemort, it'd be funny if Voldemort showed up like, "Who said my name?"
No. I saw a thing on the news today. Car companies have been spying on people, including their sexual activity.
Dude, they're selling your data left.
Yes.
Right. There's no.
Well, the funny thing to me was back when.
How? And they're like, we're not disclosing.
Well, remember there was the big thing where people were like, "Oh, our phones are spying on us."
Yeah,
our phones are. They're
always. Well, when I go on a Facebook and I see an ad of something I talked about like an hour ago.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? It's because when people first started saying that, they'd be like, "Oh, I talk about something near my phone, and then all of a sudden I'm getting ads for it, right?" And then people,
and then you're like, "It's a coincidence."
No, that's what.
The more happens, like that is not a coincidence.
No, but this was the funny part about it is that the opposition was coming out and saying, "Oh, the technology for that just isn't possible. It would take all this data to send all that, blah blah blah." And then then they turn around and be like, "Hey, I'm not going to say the name, but
well, it won't hear you."
Oh, okay, yeah, it'd be like, "Hey Alexa, blah blah blah," and it's like, oh, okay, so we have that technology. But you're telling me that you can't do that on your phone? Like, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, all it needs to do, it doesn't need to send all the vocal information. It
Not
can
all
do
the
it.
words.
It can do it on your. It could do
keywords.
It could do it on your phone and then send that keyword out. So it's just sending one little string of data. So,
and I'm telling you, it's not just your phone. It's sending it kind of. I think it must be attached somehow to your IP address, because I've even had stuff where I'll talk about it in my phone. Your phone or your smart device will pick it up. It will serve you ads on your smart TV now.
Yeah, if you're one, they're on the same Wi-Fi, and a lot of people also have Google TVs.
Oh, I didn't think about that. So you're already connected.
You're already connected to Google. Yeah, if it's a Google TV, like my TV's a Google TV, so it's like an Android TV essentially. Matthew knows, he's got the same brand. It's a Hisense, it's like having a phone. It's a tablet on your TV essentially, without the touch.
TV,
yeah, so it's not completely conspiracy theory territory. You know? It's like there is that aspect of it where it's like a lot of people don't realize how much everything is connected. Where it's like, your account, your Google account, or your Facebook, or whatever it is going to be on all your devices. So it's not really that difficult of a concept.
Yeah,
but they are listening though.
Gio, why don't you give us your
just you
pick
wait,
of the
guys.
week.
We are going to see 7-Eleven ads and taquito ads.
Yeah. Well, speaking of listening to people, Gio, tell us about your pick of the week.
Yeah. So my pick of the week this week is a new Netflix special by a gentleman that goes by the name of Shane Gillis. You might have heard of him. If you're not familiar, he's a comedian who I first found out about him in 2020 because he had this really funny sketch comedy series called Gilly and Keeves, which you can find on YouTube. A lot of the sketches are out there free to watch. And he had some really funny bits like Trump speed dating and ISIS Toyota was another really funny one. And anyway, so then he followed that up the next it's some funny stuff. But then he followed that up the year later with a full stand-up special, Shane Gillis Live in Austin, and he just put that out for free on YouTube as well. And so he's doing stuff like that. He's managed to build up quite a big following. And then so now finally 2 years after that, we're seeing his debut on Netflix. And I was quite happy with it. As soon as I just heard recently that it was coming out. I think they kind of might have kept it under wraps for a bit, the release date. But in any case, I wasn't disappointed by watching it. I think one of the things about him is how do I put this? If you want to compare him to like a Dave Chappelle, who is more of a serious political and social commentary kind of comedian, Shane Gillis, on the other hand, is more down to earth, like more relatable to the layman. And I would say he's very palatable to both sides of the political spectrum. So like he'll talk about maybe certain hot button issues, but he does it in a way where regardless of where you lean, you can get something out of it. And I think he's very good at doing that. He's excellent at self-deprecating comedy, so he will tear himself apart, and he does it very well, and he's very funny in that way. I think you can't talk about Shane Gillis without mentioning his Trump impression. He does probably the best Donald Trump impression that I've seen, and he definitely does a few bits about it in his new special as well. So that it was actually the beautiful dog's name comes from a Trump bit. It's something that Trump actually said himself, which I wasn't aware of, but without spoiling anything, yeah, it was a very funny special. I was glad to see him with a Netflix special with some higher production values, and then that gives him the ability to reach a wider audience as well. So if you're into stand-up comedy and you have Netflix, definitely check that out. If not, then I definitely recommend going back and checking out his last special that's free on YouTube, and Gilly and Keeves is free on YouTube as well. So, But yeah, definitely Netflix. Shane Gillis, Beautiful Dogs. That's the special. Actually, just came out yesterday, so I don't know if either of you guys have seen it.
Wow. No, you could probably link it in the chat. I wonder, is your Netflix netflix.ca?
It's a good question. Let me find out.
.com?
I'll tell you right now. No, it's .com.
Oh yeah, so you can put the link for the special in the chat.
Yeah, I'll grab it real quick and throw it in the chat.
Hell yeah.
Watch, I go in there now and it won't even show me it.
Yeah, I love watching stand-up shows of comedians that I don't know a ton about, because you really get an insight to them. When they're not very big, they're usually more personal.
Well, I think for me, I'm a fan of both stand-up comedy and sketch comedy, which are to a certain extent kind of go hand in hand. But that's something I enjoy, and Shane does both of those, so that definitely drew me to him. And like I'm a big stand-up comedy fan, so anything that I can find that's a good quality special, I'm happy to not only watch it but then support it and let other people know about it as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I still watch some comedy stuff now and again. It just kind of depends on who it is. I'm kind of like you. I kind of like the self-deprecation with, being able to make fun of yourself. But I also do like that good mix of being able to do sketch comedy, situational comedy, a little bit of political. But here in the last few years, I think that's been beaten to a dead horse for a while for me, honestly. If it's like a sketch, one or two sketches here or there, love that stuff. That stuff's cool. But like when your content becomes just so oversaturated with just political, that turns me off. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've actually seen any Shane Gillis. I'll have to look into him a little bit, see what I think. I'll let you know what I think, Gio. I'll probably start on the YouTube side because I don't have Netflix right now, but when I get it back, I'll have to check the special out.
That's what's great is like if you want to just take a quick peek on the Netflix side, see if it's your style, Not everything is for Netflix. Everybody,
you
but
pick it up and check it out, and then if it doesn't work for you, next special. But yeah, definitely. I'm always looking into like new comedians. So like if it's like a newer comedian that has some really funny jokes, I am all for it. Heck, like that is definitely one of the reasons I love like shows like the talent shows and stuff like that, where they give you like 2 or 3 quick minutes of fame, like shorter form comedy, just kind of get your feet wet. Love that stuff. That's really cool. So, and I think I kind of started with YouTube, really just showing like show your chops, just a few minutes, make a few people laugh, and if you can make people laugh in 3 minutes, you're gonna get a special. Like within a few years, it's gonna happen.
Well, I think you definitely just got to show consistency, right? Like if you can do, for me, if even if you put like a minute or something on YouTube, that'll get you, like for me, if you can give me 2 minutes, like 2 separate videos or something like that, then I'll get, I'll give you a follow at that point, because then you've shown consistency. So it's a thing like I think, and you mentioned the like shorter showcases, and there's stuff like and there's some really cool stuff, like there's a show called Kill Tony that's really good for that, where they allow people you can just put your name in the bucket, and if they draw your name out, you get 60 seconds to do stand up, and then they'll do a little interview with you after, and that like a bunch of Shane's been on the show, and then there's been there's been a number of big name comedians, or like bigger names, I guess, nowadays, who got some people who got their start on that show, and then some who have guested on the show as well. So
that's great.
there's some guys who are like doing stadiums now, and then they got found out
That's
just because they got pulled out of the bucket.
That is insane.
Yeah. Like there's a guy, Hans Kim. He'll open for like Joe Rogan and well, he could sell out his own shows now, but he got pulled out of the bucket. Anyway, we don't have to get into it, but that's just one example of a kind of a showcase like that.
Yeah,
but
and comedies, it's so crazy how like you can have a small room with like just a handful of people. 4 or 5 people if you're just getting your start and you're just trying to make a few people laugh. And I've heard stories from comedians that they say small rooms with just a few people sometimes are even harder than trying to make people in a stadium laugh. Like legit.
Oh yeah.
Like
for sure.
If you're in a smaller room with just a few people, it's a little more intimate. You got some tough critics in that room.
Yeah.
It's just the setting. It's just how it is. And then you look at somebody like Gabriel Iglesias who sells out Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm. And I bet you any money that I bet any money that Gabriel had to start out doing open mics where he was doing 3 or 4 people and just bombing to 3 or 4 people until finally you end up making it.
A lot of the stories talking about like, man, there was nights I was just bombing left and right, but he said I just kept at it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And you could say that about a lot of facets of life, but definitely in terms of stand-up comedy, it's consistency, just grinding, I guess you could say, and not quitting, just continuing to own your craft. But it's funny though, because some people, I feel like when you could, I don't know how to say this. There's some people where you get a person who's only been doing it for a couple of months and they're killers already, and then you see some other people and they've been at it for like 10 years, and then they're just trash. Which, and it's not to say that they won't ever be good, but it's a thing where it's like it doesn't come at the same pace for everybody. But you got to find however long it takes to get you to that point where you're at where you need to be. And when you get to like that level of like a Fluffy, that's it's
insane. And the other crazy thing is, like you were talking about, how you can have people who just start with just a few months, and then you look at people who've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah,
that's literally the same discussion we're having in the Star Wars fan community right now in regarding Jedi, because of some of the stuff that's going on in the Ahsoka show. But without getting into spoiler territory, there's literally been a discussion online, Gio, talking about how there's some characters in that universe, they've been Jedi for like 4 years, and they're just like masters of the Jedi and the Force. And there's some Jedi that have been in the Order for like 20 years. They're still not masters.
Yeah.
It's the exact same concept.
I don't know if this exactly applies to Star Wars, because that kind of gets in the realm of fiction. But I think there's a good point about that too, is that Jim Valvano had a great speech where he said you have to maintain the same enthusiasm in your profession year after year. And the big example he gave, because he was a college basketball coach, and he said, oh, so if I go up against another coach and I ask him, how long you've been coaching? And he's like, 4 years. And so I go, oh, I've been coaching 10 years. I instantly got this one. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
You have to maintain that same level of enthusiasm and drive year after year.
There's overconfidence. There's, for some people, they've been in it so long, it's wearing them down.
Yeah. And I think in life, it's just a thing where not everybody goes at the same pace. So I think some people get discouraged by that, because they're like, why isn't it happening for me yet? And it's like, you don't want to compare yourself to other people, because you're not them. So it's like, don't do that.
Like I'm sure there is stuff Chris could pick up in 5 minutes, and then Gio and I are over here going, and this has happened a few times. Where you're like, Chris, you've been explaining something to us, and you're like just rattling it off, and then Gio and I over here like, what? Say this to us like we're 5, please.
What? What are you talking? Like, give me an example. Like, what? Are you calling yourself stupid, Patrick?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying everybody's different. We all learn different things. We all, at different paces, and we're all each masters of our own craft. in a lot of different ways.
We don't have crafts. So, what the hell are you talking about? We're not masters at anything.
However, we are remastered. And
I would say
we are remastered.
Jack of all trades.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I would say I am, too, is more of a jack of all trades. Exactly. I agree. I'm the same way. I think that's kind of what we all have realized we are. We all can do a little bit of everything, but we're not expert. I was taught the way to say that is, when you're looking for jobs and stuff, is say that you have a breadth of knowledge rather than a depth of knowledge.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what we have. And let's hope it helps us raise money for kids. Because, folks, we are here for FMF and AID Global Association and World Auto-Inflammatory Awareness Month. We want to raise money for the association so they can help kids cope with dealing with auto-inflammatory conditions and be prepared for an adult life, unlike I was at first. Still really not with the LMFM. So, please, even $1 or share the link, as we said before, could help. Please. All right.
Sorry, looks like we were having some technical difficulties there, but we're all good now.
What's the matter? What happened? What technical difficulties?
It looks like it looks like we're good now.
Was it just me?
It was on Patrick's end.
Okay, I think it was my internet. It dropped me out there.
Yeah, I think it dropped you for a second.
But did we do Chris's pick? Yeah, we did Chris's.
We did mine. It's Patrick's turn.
Patrick, yeah.
All right, we're gonna go with mine, the one Chris dreads the most. We're gonna talk about Armor Reforger.
It had to happen eventually.
It was coming down the pipeline. You knew this day would come, Chris. But
where did you? Hold on, sorry, your name tag's missing. Oh no, it's not.
No. Oh, my name tag's missing. Oh no. Well, while he's working on that, we'll go ahead and go through the pick here. So I bring up Armor Forger for a few different reasons. The main reason it's cool. This is the game that came out. I think it was a year and a half or so ago. Came to early access, and this is the first time they brought one of the Arma games, not just on PC. They brought it to console. They wanted to test and see if it would work on console. And with the Series X being basically like a modern PC, it passed that with flying colors. Is it perfect? No. They're always updating. They're always, doing bug fixes and stuff. It's a overall fun game. I know when it came to Game Pass, everybody was so hype. Poor Spencer couldn't get it to work on his internet because it needs a stable connection. That's fine. But I got on. I played a few times with Chris early on. We had some fun with it, testing it out, trying it out, seeing how something like this of a PC scale size, multiplayer shooter would work on console. Because I know you and I were both kind of skeptical at first. We were like, is this going to work? And then the more we learned about the game, we found out it's really going to be a launch platform for developing Arma 4 for PC, exclusively for PC. And I think the reason they wanted to bring it to console mainly is to kind of look at the architecture in terms of, server side and how that would work in a different environment, which is a great, smart idea because you can still develop it for console. And if you ever decided to bring Arma 4 to console down the road, you have that console option open to you, even if you don't decide if you decide not to develop for that in the long run. We all know Arma 4 is coming to PC. It's happening. So I remember when Arma 3 came out, that PC, like when they moved from 2 to 3, that generational gap, Arma 3 still has a lot of players, and the modding community for Arma 3 is still really big. So I'm seeing a lot of progress towards Arma 4. Is it slow? Yes. Is there a lot of work still going on? Oh yeah, it's going to be years till you see Arma 4, but I'm loving what they're doing.
Now, Arma, so Arma Reforger is crossplay, correct?
It is crossplay.
Yes. Now I'm interested because it's a PC game at heart, and we know that.
It's a PC game at heart. It was developed on PCs. It's basically an adaptive use of a PC game for a console
Yeah.
As additional. But ultimately, the main modding community, everything there, it's mainly PC based. You're correct.
And it is crossplay, so we'd be able to play together.
Yes, yes, we can. And the main reason I brought it up this week and modding is I've been a part of this big community of guys over there that's in a role-playing server that's run by this group of guys out of Germany. They have 2 servers, one that's over in Europe and one here in the United States. And the stuff that you see on this for just a basic, bare bones with a little bit of modding added into it, the funniest stuff and the community coming together. A lot of it's guys who were like in the GTA 5 role-playing scene.
Yeah.
So they really know how to get into character and stuff. This in the last 48 hours, I have had way more fun on this game than I've ever had over like the last year and a half. And Chris and Spencer keep texting me. They're like, "Why aren't you getting off of Arma? Why aren't you adulting? Why aren't you doing this?" It's like, you don't understand. This is getting to be to the point where like the scene is really kicking off for the role-playing side of Arma. It's always kind of been around for the last 10 years, as far back as Arma 2 on PC. I've met some of those guys back then, but that's when roleplay was still, it was more D&D based.
Yeah, well, like now the technology too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And like,
it's crazy. They've even added on this server, like there's a positive and negative scale. So if you do more positive things and you're like a good contributing member of society, selling goods and not shooting people, you get a positive rating. The more you shoot at people, there's like a whole negative aspect to it now. And you can give your ID cards to police officers. They'll like take 2 seconds to look at your card. If it says like neutral or negative, they're like, all right, we're going to keep an eye on you. And I'm a positive rated guy. So I decided yesterday, the whole day, I said, I'm going to play the bad guy just to mess with these guys. And I committed like 5 felonies yesterday. And every time they would catch me, they'd keep taking me back to jail. I think I was like 7 or 8 hours in, and they were like, bro, what are you doing? And they told me, and this is going to be for the next few days on the server, I have an APB out. If I'm anywhere near a shooting scene and they don't catch a criminal and they find me nearby, gun or no gun, they're going to consider me a suspect and take me to jail.
Well, here's what I want to know, though. I thought it was a military sim. How are you just getting arrested?
It is.
How are you just getting arrested? Like, you should be shot.
It's the mods. Like they added them. The police have added a mod to the pistol. You load a certain kind of colored magazine into the gun, it turns the pistol into a taser. You can tase people now in this military simulation.
Well, but so much fun. What happens if your character dies?
Then you die, you respawn. And then you have to roleplay as a new character when you respawn.
Okay, so you do have to be a whole new character when you respawn.
Whole new character. It respawns you with a different look, and you immediately have to change your persona. I think you get to keep your vehicles, but you have to like change your whole aspect. You can create like the new background for your character. And since a lot of it's over voice over IP, you can change the way you talk, your voice, the way you dress. Dude, it's so much fun.
I think the thing about putting them in jail, it's like, okay, what's gonna hurt more? Getting killed and then instantly being able to respawn and get right back into the action, or being taken to jail and taking your weapons taken away.
Messed with me yesterday,
and you gotta sit there in the cell.
They'd hold me for 20 minutes and sit there and question me, and that was the whole role-playing side. That was way more fun than the cops are sitting there shooting at me. I respawn, I become a new character. Oh, I'm a new character. How? That's not that fun. I mean, it's kind of fun, but sitting there having them like mess with me for 20 minutes and like you have like a whole back-to-back interaction, that's where the fun of it is.
Okay, interesting. Now, here's what's interesting though. This might be the future of how video games are voiced, people. For right now. Why is that, Patrick? Why?
Because we now live in a generation of people who aren't too happy with the way the industry is changing. But like most things will adapt. We are going to evolve and see where things go in the industry. We have AI in the mix now, Chris.
Uh-oh.
And AI is making some people happy. It's making their jobs a little easier. For a lot of people in the industry, it's taking their jobs away. So this is a predicament now, and that's exactly what Sag-Aftra is getting into. And they're voting on this over the last few days. having these discussions. They're now moving from their big union strike against the studios in the film and TV industry, and now they're going mainly, it sounds like it's mostly for voice actors and motion capture artists. They're going to be going to the major gaming studios and, discussing their complaints, things they want to improve on. That might be something as simple as working hours. They'll be talking about, benefits and payouts and stuff like that. I'm not sure how that's going to work, if they're going to kind of go the film and TV route where they're going to get into like compensation based off of video game sales. That might come down the pipeline where as a game, like if a game goes on sale and like they sell a bunch more copies, are those actors going to get residuals? That might be in the discussion, like it is in the film and TV industry.
Here's the official announcement from Sag-Aftra from September 1st, which was 5 days ago. The board has voted unanimously to send a strike authorization vote to Sag-Aftra members in preparation of the union's forthcoming bargaining dates with signatory video game companies, which include Activision, Blindlight, Disney, EA, Epic, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac, Take-Two, VoiceWorks, and WB Games. It has been nearly a year since the video game contract, the interactive media agreement, as it's called, was extended beyond the original expiration date. They negotiated then. Unfortunately, throughout the negotiations, companies have failed to address those needs. So, yeah, they're pissed. It sounds like they're pissed.
So, and I think this started with Activision. Honestly,
these companies made a prior agreement with SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah, they've already had an agreement. Yeah, there's always voice actors who are union. Absolutely, there had to have been an agreement for union actors to be able to do voice work. If, for example, Borderlands 3 was all union voices.
Yep,
all union voices. That's why Troy Baker didn't do it. He's not union. So voice actors like Troy Baker and like there are a bunch of prominent video game voice actors who are non-union, but this could, get rid of cameos of big name actors in video games, as well as, this might cause those non-union ones to be like, maybe I should join the union so I can protect my rights because of this whole AI thing, which is the whole reason the original studio strike happened, because the whole AI thing where they're saying, oh yeah, we can bring an extra in, record their voice, then we've got AI for the next 100 years.
For scripts, that is a big thing with script writing.
Yeah, well, script writing as well. And, it's interesting too, because this then could... this video game side, then what about the devs? Because and granted, I
think most of them will be protected because they still have to have.
Well, here's the thing. What I was going to say, Patrick, is most AI doesn't write very good computer programming yet.
No, they don't.
So it's very basic and simple.
To,
tweak it,
code,
and
tweak it and find errors. They could use AI to find errors in code.
Well, they already do that. They already do that. That's really bug finding. Like AI is already finding, but this is like you could get them to write a code, and you can maybe get them to write the groundwork and the framework of it, and then you have to add all the meat and potatoes. But but it'll be interesting to see as the technology advances. Will this carry over to devs, and will they unionize? And this whole AI thing is...
It sounds like a bunch of them already are unionized. A lot of devs are now. Because I know a few years back they were talking in the game industry about, crunch hours. And right before the launch of a game, it gets really intense where they're pulling insane, 7 days a week, 90 hours. A bunch of them had to unionize from what I've heard.
So we'll find out probably in about 3 weeks whether or not this passes, because the voting ends on September 25th.
I think they will be able to work
Eastern.
On some sort of deal, because the video game industry just makes so much money.
But that's not the point, Patrick. The point is rights and benefits and making sure that their voices and their likenesses don't get stolen because AI legally right now it can be because of AI, because there's nothing that's protecting them. So that's the big issue. It's going to be interesting to watch this. We'll definitely keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
I
think they'll be able to come to some sort of contract deal for sure. They'll come up with something, and it sounds like they'll probably be a little more reasonable than.
Well, I'd love to get Geo's insight on the music side of it, like with AI and.
I didn't even think about that.
What you think about what the future kind of holds in the same guise, but
you mean
on the music side
in terms of video game music or just in general?
Music in general and AI. Because that's a whole nother side of the entertainment industry we haven't been talking about with AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's coming up.
You're seeing a lot of the same things happening in like pretty much anything where generative AI is becoming prominent. You're seeing a lot of the same concerns being drawn up. So the same can be said for the music industry. We've already seen some lawsuits and things like that, and some major pushback from because it raises the concern of if you're taking someone's likeness, and in this case you're making their voice sound like them. So like we've all seen, we were just talking about some of it earlier, when you're taking a major artist like Drake, for example, there's been a lot of tracks where they've put Drake's voice on, and even if you put that it's AI in the name of the song, still people are more inclined to check that out because you've said you've put Drake's name in there, so you're using his intellectual property, right? So it's the same kind of thing. It's just in a different format, but I think a lot of the same concerns are being drawn there, and it's really a tough thing to say. I think definitely artists have the right to protect that. Where if you use your voice and you pretend to sound like Drake, for example, it's like, yeah, that's a shitty thing to do. But I mean that's a whole different can of worms. I think you can kind of get away with that. There's many artists that have copied his style almost verbatim. You know, how many times have you heard a song and you're like, oh, is that Drake? And it's like, no, it's some other artist that you've never heard of before. But when you're deliberately doing that, when you're copying, like with generative AI, it always takes it from the original source, right? So when you're telling it to make a song that sounds like Drake's voice, it's only doing that because it has that original sound file that's, you know, perhaps like an acapella of his or something. So it's a little different, and I think the intention is a big part of it too, because you're purposely intending to like if you make a song that sounds like Drake but you're calling it a different artist, that's a slightly different thing. But I think there was a case where someone attempted to put a song on Spotify and they were like featuring, you know, Drake or whoever it was. And then that's an even more criminal thing, another aspect to it. Cause then you're gaining monetarily from someone else's intellectual property. So it's such a deep thing. Right. And I actually I've done some research, but I feel like I should have done more to go into it because it's something that's going to affect us all. But yeah, I think a lot of the concerns are legitimate. It's just how are we going to handle this? Where I think the main concern is like corporations kind of being in control of a lot of this. That's where it's going to be an issue because they have infinitely more resources than the average Joe does, and they can benefit from AI more because of that. So that's why we're getting into this with the SAG strike and everything like that, right? That's the whole thing is like the average person can't use AI on the level that a multi-million-dollar corporation can. So you need to protect the rights of the little guy first and foremost, because they're the ones who are they have the most to lose in this. But ultimately, we need to find a way where the AI is going to be able to be used to help more than harm. And I think we can find that. We have to figure out how to do that on a proper moral area, right?
Deep thoughts with Geo the Sage. Oh, that was good.
On this. You broke it down real good.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was you had us all mesmerized with your talk.
Especially the copyright stuff. There's a lot like on the copyright side we haven't even gotten into.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like you're right, with intellectual properties that really extends to literally every genre of entertainment.
Yeah, and we're seeing like the different aspects of it, because it's different when it's, you know, copying a picture versus someone's voice versus a script. You know, but it lets us see it through a different lens, I think, and then I think that's going to help us get to the goal where we want to go. Just seeing it through those different lenses, then coming to the same conclusions of what we all want out of this.
And we haven't even gotten to the larger discussion about AI resurrecting dead actors and artists in this either, too. We'll have to save that for another podcast.
I don't even want to think about. That's crazy to think about. Especially with who's just passed recently, like everyone who's just passed this year.
So many
thinking about that, so many
year.
Like in the past couple of years, and just what? Yeah.
Get ready, Smash Mouth's about to get their next big AI hit.
What are you talking about? Sean Connery's going to be playing James Bond again.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
You're telling me the Queen of England's going to drop a big R&B hit?
What?
We should have seen this coming when they did the Tupac hologram.
Yeah, and then the Prince hologram.
Yeah.
They did Prince as well.
Michael Jackson at no, what was that? Michael Jackson at that award ceremony.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
So, the Simpsons did it. Yes, they did, Matthew. Yes,
Simpsons did it. Predicts everything.
So, speaking of crazy shit out there, we got some more UFO talk to discuss, guys. Because they're declassifying and digitizing a whole bunch of shit that we'll just be able to go online and look at.
I won't say it's aliens.
But it's aliens. Documents will include video from the famous Roswell incident in 1947.
What?
The records from previous investigations had been available in person originally, and it's still not clear how many remain classified still. But yeah, the National Archives in Washington, D.C. is digitizing a whole bunch of UFO stuff. Let's see here. Another black and white photo from 1969 shows what looks like an alien spaceship straight out of a sci-fi movie. It was later determined to be a rare type of cloud. A 1950s amateur sketch of egg-shaped disc flying over the Baltimore night sky. The sighting was seen by a whole neighborhood over 2 hours and remains unexplained decades later. Yeah, just all kinds of. Let's see here. We got. Let's take a look at stuff. There's the discs.
Wait, hold on. They said egg-shaped?
Egg-shaped.
Are they sure that wasn't like a home run out of the Oriole Stadium?
Not five of them.
Poor pandering.
Not five of them.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
You're right. It would only be one at a time.
Yes, exactly. So here's the national. They're digitizing all this stuff. It's so exciting.
I want to know what's not gonna make the cut.
Well, that's the thing. That's the interesting thing too. Like, what isn't?
Aliens trying to date humans, like alien e-dating profiles. Like, my name is Tim. I'm from Mars. I'm trying to date this girl, Angela.
That's going to be the new dating show.
It's too awkward. Yeah, it's too awkward. Like Tim the alien's like, can you please not upload that to the government database? I don't want anybody. It's too cringy.
You've seen other dating shows, but in this one, what will they do when they find out the person they're dating is an alien?
Oh my gosh, we have a new video series.
Pitch that one to TLC.
Yeah. So this is the Blue Book. This is the United States government Project Blue Book report number 8.
Yep.
Here we go. Look at this. It relates to U.S. Air Force investigations of unidentified. This is right from the National Archives site. Oh, look at that shit up there. There it is. It's actually a YouTube video. So here, I'll put the link in the chat. And then in our group chat.
Yeah, it's like the classic UFOs in that one.
12,618 sightings between 1947 and 1969. And a lot of this stuff is going to now, like, this is just a video they made to give you information about it all. And, like, you could go and actually visit the National Archives in D.C. and look at this stuff. But a lot of this stuff now is going online onto this site that, you know, Saucers over comic strip. This is just... Like, and I wonder if like they're talking about right now a comic strip where like they showed like UFOs that's just like a comic, but I wonder if that was to mask that they really saw them.
Next, we're gonna get like some peanut strips. It's like Charlie Brown, look, aliens. It'll find its way onto the website. I totally see that coming down the pipe. Like the government's gonna be like, all right, anything involving aliens, even if it's in cartoon form, just put it on the damn website. Just keep these people hungry.
They're going for the ad revenue.
Well, they're
gonna put all the scenes of ancient aliens on there.
Oh, one thing I was anyway, that's that. That's that page. One thing that I was when I was watching the news today that they had an expert from overseas, from the UK, and one thing they were talking about is that other countries aren't as secretive about it all as we are here in the United States. I don't know how it is up in Canada, but here a professor, I think the University of Arizona or something like that down there, said that it's because we have a propensity to want to be secretive about things.
I think a lot of that
and
comes
have
down
conspiracies about things.
It's a little bit of conspiracy. It's a little bit of government cover up, but I think a lot of it just comes to that aspect around, like you were saying, a lot of this stuff started kicking off around the 1940s and 1950s. A lot of it is defense of the homeland, which really kicked off.
National security, yep.
National security, CONAD, which became NORAD for the U.S. and Canada. All of that stuff happened back then, and so yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, that started around that era, and I think that's really when they started. Like, I'm sure there's stuff that goes back even further. But that's really when they started, like, taking things more serious, jotting down reports, getting photo and video evidence. That's when you started kicking off. And then you get into the modern era, like you were saying, there's tens of thousands of files out there. And that's just going to be the stuff that's going to get declassified. I don't even want to know I want to really know how much more is still going to be classified after all this. Because there could be a lot more than that. There could be, hundreds of thousands of documents out there still that are, sitting classified. We don't know.
It's an exciting time because exactly, Matthew, being a Stargate fan, this was a big story arc in Stargate of keeping it secret from the public, and then finally, and it never went public in the show except for like in a alternate future episode. Is when it went public, and it was a really interesting episode. But that it went public because we got help from other aliens, and their requirement was we had to make it public. I don't think that would happen here because it's starting to go public. But something as big as like a Stargate, I was watching the news today, and they were talking about. I'm like, oh god, that means the Stargate's got to be real at this point. The way that this is all happening now, the Stargate's got to be real at this point. That's how I'm feeling right now.
As much as the government covers up, it would not shock me, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if what we're seeing is true, these UFOs and stuff, they have technology way beyond what we have. Like, you can't discount the possibility of something like a Stargate or, teleportation technology doesn't somehow exist. Now, would they trust that to humans? That's a whole different other question for another day. Because that's another discussion they've talked about with the UFO community is like the whole first contact thing. Like, would they actually want to talk to humans if they saw how bad human nature really is?
But that's the thing, they have probably, not. And that's why they haven't.
And yet, but yet we're still seeing stuff. So
well, yeah, because I mean, I guarantee you, if we are seeing UFOs and things like that, they don't all have cloaking technology. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
they don't. Not
there's probably none that really do. There's probably a few that do, because we even have cloaking technology using light refraction.
We have light refraction, and we also have radar refraction.
Mm-hmm.
You can still see something, and it's not going to show up on radar.
Yeah.
Very, very big difference, for sure.
Yes.
You know, we have some of the most advanced fighter jets in the world. And what was it? I heard, I think it was that when they were developing the F-22 Raptor, they were talking about how, you know, cross-sections of, you know, radar beams bouncing off of things. And they said the F-22, even at full speed, like the radar, they said the cross section of the radar, if they were looking for something on a radar, they said it's about the size of a honeybee. That's literally how much it doesn't, like, if you're going to be looking for something, you're going to be looking for heat, not, you know, radar bouncing off of something. You're going to be looking for a heat source.
Exactly. So,
and some of this alien technology, they're saying it's not putting off a lot of heat. That's even crazier. It's like, dude, they are, if aliens are real, they are miles ahead of us.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Insane. It's not even close.
Humanity is still very young. That is correct, Matthew. The very young do not always do as they are told. There's another great Stargate line. Fantastic line.
Heck, if a lot of these aliens even exist, some of them might, you know, be as young as us. Or,
that's true, too.
Even they're still developing as much as we are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're all learning together.
Speaking of space and actors, I guess we can kind of combine that into Space Jam, and we'll go move into basketball.
Yo,
Chris, the master of segues.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, so I'm personally I would say a pretty big fan of basketball, especially the last couple of years.
I was going to say you're personally a Canadian. That's very true.
I am certainly a Canadian, and while it's the NBA offseason, NCAA offseason, but what is going on right now is the FIBA Basketball World Cup, which, if you're not familiar, it's I believe it's held once every 4 years. Started back in '94, I want to say. And essentially, it's a tournament. This year was 32 teams. It features national teams for each country attending. So you'd have to be either born in or living in that country, I believe. But in any case, much like the Olympics. So it's the same. A lot of the same teams that would
not as loose as the World Cup.
Yeah,
not as loose as the world. The soccer World Cup.
yeah. So in the basketball World Cup, well, not only do they compete for the cup at the end of it, but also a chance to qualify for the Summer Olympics. So in this case, it would be the next year's 2024 Summer Olympics.
In Paris.
Yes.
Oh, oui.
Oui.
And why this is this one in particular has been special to me is because of how far the Canadian national team has been able to go this year, and it's a thing where, well, I guess to say first and foremost, they've made it to the semifinals. So for the semifinals, we've got. Of course, USA is going to be there. They're going to be going against Germany. And then the other two teams would be Serbia and Canada. And then so Canada is going to be playing Serbia on Friday. So this is pretty big, a pretty big deal for Canada, for the Canadian national basketball. Not only is it the first time they've made it to the semifinals in the FIBA World Cup, it's also because they've made it that far that does qualify them for the Olympics. So it'll be the first time the Canada national team will go to the Olympics for basketball since, if I'm not mistaken, since 2000. So like
Sydney, wow.
Yeah, like that's like it'll be like a 24-year drought, I guess, if you count till next year. So that's pretty significant. So that I was pretty happy to learn about that. I think what makes this team so special is it's kind of a culmination of how basketball culture has grown in Canada over the last 25 plus years. I think it probably started with the
NBA's Grizzlies, right?
Yeah, the NBA's expansion into Canada in 95 with the Raptors and the Grizzlies. Obviously, the Grizzlies now in Memphis, but we still have the Raptors. And what the Raptors were able to do, especially with guys like Vince Carter, and everyone who paved the way along the way. But what we've been able to do is foster this culture of this love for basketball that in a lot of places has taken over even hockey, which has been longstanding, been the most popular sport in Canada. And we're seeing kind of the fruits of that labor now with a lot of this Canadian talent that we're seeing. A lot of great NBA players are coming out from Canada, and we're seeing a lot of, number one picks and high draft picks and things like that. And a lot of these guys now are showing the level of talent that they have. So in particular with this team, you've got, so just read off a couple of the players here. You've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Oklahoma City Thunder. You've got Dylan Brooks, who is now on the Houston Rockets. Dwight Powell from the Mavericks. RJ Barrett from the Knicks. Kelly Olynyk, which I think he's on the Jazz now. Lou Dort, who I believe is still in OKC. And Nikhila Alexander-Walker, who I'll be honest, I can't remember what team he's on right now. But so surprisingly, Jamal Murray was absent from this FIBA team, which he would have been a great addition. But he stated that he would play for the Olympics, but he wasn't going to play in the FIBA tournament, which I believe is also the case for Nikola Jokic, because he should be, if I'm not mistaken, on the Serbian team, but he's notably absent from there as well. So I think just because the Nuggets won the championship, they're trying to run it back. So they're kind of trying to do some risk management with their players. But that being said, even without Jamal Murray, the Canadian team is doing incredibly well. I would say mostly on the back of SGA, who has just been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, high praise from Donk. Did you see the quote?
Yeah, do you have it up?
I do. Go look at the stream. You can look at it on the stream.
Yeah, so he was saying, congratulations to Canada. They played great. They have one of the best players in the world, and it was really tough to guard him. Yeah, and that was, I think, one of the defining games of this series was playing Slovenia, which, of course, has Luka, who, if you know anything about NBA basketball or just basketball in general, he's easily one of the best players in the world. And a lot of people just have nothing but high praise for him. And they had high hopes for the Slovenian team with him kind of leading the way, and that's what he was doing. I think he had the highest point per game average. I could be wrong about that, but it was somewhere in the top three. So with that being said, the game was it was definitely a SGA versus Luka battle for a large portion of it, and it was a pretty crazy game in the sense that not only so first of all, I think if you want to talk about SGA, he had 30 points, with at least 30 points. I think he got 31 and 10 rebounds, which that's actually a record. Let's see. I have it written down here. I can't find it. I believe it is a record for the FIBA World Cup of points and rebounds in an elimination game. So he's the first person to have at least 30 and 10 rebounds in an elimination game. So that's big in its own right. then we have guys like Dylan Brooks, who I think after what happened to him in with the disappointing season he had with the Grizzlies, where they afterwards said, he's not coming back under any circumstances. And then, everyone, including myself, was clowning him to a certain extent. And even, my fellow Canadian there, but he definitely took that to heart, and he's been playing out of his mind. There's at least 2 games where he had plays that arguably saved the entire game from a loss. And I think he's been, let's see here. It looks like he's been averaging like 61% from the field, 55% from 3, 75% true shooting. And he's got plus 16 plus minus, which is a team high. So it can't be understated Dylan Brooks' effect on the team as well. In this Slovenia game, he actually got ejected. So he in true Dylan Brooks villain fashion, he was taunting everybody, Luka in particular, because that's part of his style is he tries to get in your head and mess up your game that way from a mental perspective. So he was definitely doing that, and the refs weren't having it. They ejected him for taunting, so he was out. But then it actually did get to Luka's head, because Luka ended up getting ejected as well in a frigging elimination game. So apparently what was happening is he not only was he complaining to the refs, as Luka does, but he at one point was even complaining to the FIBA execs that were on the sideline and shouting at them. So they had enough of that, and he got ejected as well, which is
smart move on the refs to eject him. When you're getting that hot-headed, it's like, all right.
And that's a problem that,
especially in like a international tournament like that, it's like, yeah, you need to chill a little bit. It's like, I know you're playing for your country, but yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and that's a continuous problem that Luka's always had, is he can get hot-headed like that and complain to the refs and stuff, because he knows how good he is, and how and when what happened in this game is that was part of Canada's plan, was they were going to play rough. They knew they could get away with more roughness in this than they would in a normal NBA game. So they played hard like that, and Luka was pissed. And but because of the fact that he wasn't able to keep his cool, they ejected him. It's, I guess, interesting to note that that's the second consecutive year where he's been ejected in an elimination game, because the same thing happened last year in Eurobasket, where
do they play him in the next tournament? That's the I guess you would just have to off a skill alone.
Yeah, it's fucking Luka Doncic. You have to,
but you gotta kind of also this happens twice in 2 tournaments. Like, if I were the coach, I'd be sitting down with them, next time around, 4 years or whatever, and going, let's not do that again, please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
especially in the elimination game of all things.
And he's still a fairly young player, so he's got that. That's just a life lesson that he's got to learn.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, because they had high hopes for their team there, and who knows what would have happened if he wouldn't have got ejected. But fact is, he did, and Canada got the win. So
you think it would have been closer had he not?
Absolutely, because I think he's just the, how do you put it, like the X factor. He's always, I mean, the worst thing you can say about him is his defense, but beyond that, he's
very talented on the offense.
He can carry a team based on his offense alone, and that's very important.
And what do you think is his strongest thing? Is it just shot accuracy, or is it just really good passing?
I would say more his shot than his passing, but because he's so good, it allows him a certain level of shot creation where he can get he'll get double teamed and triple teamed, and then he's able to make that outlet pass, or the you know what I mean, like he'll make
staying calm under pressure.
He'll make the right pass when he's in that situation, but most of the time he doesn't need to, because he's just that damn good.
Yeah.
So he's a joy to watch. I'm a big fan of his, but
so you think if in 4 years he is a little bit more of a calm, humble player, you think there's a possibility he could really be a true threat if they have to face Canada again.
Oh yeah, and then there'll be other, like I said, like they did Eurobasket last year. I'm not fully familiar with the entire schedule that they have, but Luka seems like he is very fond of doing the national thing. Now? I think he's only like 24. Let me look it up.
24. So he'll be 28 in 4 years. Yeah, he might play.
Or maybe he might be 22. Let me check.
He might play one more tournament, I'd say.
No, he's 24. I was right.
Yeah, he'll play at least 1 or 2 more tournaments, I would think.
Well, he's a guy who...
Plus, he's on injury. If he gets on injury before the tournament, then it is what it is.
See, I think that the European players have a different mindset when it comes to the American players, or like even Canadian, you could say.
It's a whole different kind of game, yeah.
Well, and I think he has just a really appreciation for where he comes from, and he wants to keep, if the Mavericks told him not to do it, I think he would tell them to go fuck themselves, so it's just if he decides he doesn't want to or not.
I've always said this about athletes, like if you're from a certain country and that certain country helped raise you up, especially in whatever discipline or sport you're in, you better be repping that country, unless they're absolutely like, if your country is doing some pretty shitty things, then I can understand and be like, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from there, but like, especially like something like that, like, yeah, if they told you to tone it down, yeah, I'm sure he would tell them to pound sand.
Yeah, it's just
that's what it is.
And when you're that good, like he's a generational talent, like they'll do whatever they can to keep him happy. So
now, if he was like an entry level player, like he was just still getting cutting his teeth and stuff, they'd be like, we might take you off for a season.
But yeah, that's not fucking happening.
You hit a certain level, you're right, and you can start saying some stuff. Will they fine you if it gets to a certain level? Maybe. But most of those guys make so much money, they're like, I don't care if you fine me, I'm gonna say whatever is on my mind,
Let's see, what else did I have on that? I guess one other quick note in regards to the Canadian team. One thing that helped them, I think, was after so they fired the Raptors fired Nick Nurse, and he was also the head coach of the national team. So when he,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so when he went to the 76ers, the initial idea was that he was going to continue being the coach for Canada. That turned out to not be the case for whatever reason. People have said conflicting things on that, but anyway, so they had to find a new coach, and at the same time, they're finding a new coach for the Raptors. Raptors obviously went with Darko Rajakovic, and another guy who was a front runner for that position ended up being the coach for the Canadian national team, who is Jordi Fernandez from the Sacramento Kings. And we all know what amazing season they had last year. And I think it definitely shows with what he did with the Canadian national team. So he's definitely proving that he can handle a head coaching position. Yeah, and I would not be surprised if in the next few years you see him coaching a NBA team as a head coach.
Oh, I agree. There are definitely plenty of teams that are going to be looking for head coaches the next couple of years.
One other thing I guess I'd say about that is what I'm hoping for is, since we're in the semifinals. So we've got USA versus Germany. Shout out to Dennis Schroeder on the German USA team there. And Canada versus Serbia. So I think what I'm really hoping for here, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, is going for a USA versus Canada in the finals.
Absolutely.
So are you saying there's a chance not only will you beat us in Olympic hockey, there's a chance you'll beat us in FIBA basketball too?
That sounds so
well. The problem
sounds so ridiculous, but it's possible.
Here's the thing: I am gonna, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gio. I would say that the team that you guys have put out for the FIBA World Cup is closer to your A team than the US has.
Yeah, I would say that, because if you look at the USA talent, right, like you could throw in like a Kevin Durant or a
LeBron, you look at the Olympic roster, it's going to be much heavier stardom wise than the FIBA roster.
Yeah, which is because, like I said earlier, like we've got at least a few Nuggets players that weren't on their national teams.
Yep.
And I'm sure the same could be said for a lot of other players as well, who just didn't want to. They want to focus on their NBA season. So
in other words, if Canada does beat the U.S. in the FIBA World Cup, it doesn't really count.
Because it's all Olympic qualifiers anyways.
Hey, I mean, you gotta give some.
Now,
I know. I'm obviously I'm gonna give some credit. I'm messing with you,
but you got to give some credit to that USA team because there's some killer.
For them not being the A team and still playing as well as they are. Absolutely, 100%.
They benched.
What's his name?
What's his name?
Yeah, because he's like, I'm a star. And you're like, not on this team, you're not, or something like that. Oh,
you gotta be a team player if you're playing national team anywhere. You don't gotta be the player. Yeah, if you're on like an NBA team, sure, yeah, go ahead with the whole I'm the star. But yeah, as soon as you start playing national ball, leave that at the bench.
Who was it?
I'm pulling up the roster. I'll tell you.
You're playing for your country, not for you.
Who was it? Brandon Ingram.
That's right, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, and that sounds crazy that you're gonna bench someone like that, but
yeah, but he's young, another young player who
another hothead.
Then he's just a good team, and you're going for and you're going for what fits, right? So if you find a better fit, then you go with that, and they're afforded that level of depth by how good the USA is at basketball. So that's why it's so crazy that you could even say that Canada might beat them, and FIBA is a different game, right, to a certain extent, but it brings me a certain level of pride that we've come that far to even be in that conversation. So I'll say that, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But if that happens, I'll be very excited because that would be a matchup for the ages. And then who knows what we're going to see in the Olympics next year? If
it'll probably be another USA blowout like it always is.
That's not true.
Well, it's not always the case.
Yeah, it's not always the case at all.
But
that's the thing.
That's the expectation, though.
Yeah, it was for a long time, but then now we've come to that global era where
it's different. It's different basketball now. It's
definitely some parity.
I think that's why there was some controversy recently over I think it was a track star who complained about the NBA calling it the World Championship, and because he's like, oh, it's just the USA, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
there's players from all over the world.
It's the USA.
It's like the NBA has the best players from all over the world. Maybe if you were talking about the NBA in like the 50s or you know what I mean, or like when you know what I'm talking about, like back in the day. But not today's.
I do see what he's getting at, though, about the whole. Most of the NBA players you see today that end up on the Olympic team, generally, it is more America heavy for sure.
Well, I mean, in the Olympics, you have to.
In the Olympics, yeah.
But in terms of like, I get what he's saying, like, because it used to be like that, and then when you look at the NFL, they call it the World Championship as well. But it's like
they do.
But the idea is.
It's all here in America.
Yeah, and that's the idea is like, oh, they're not playing other countries, but it's like, but I think at least in terms of the NBA, I can speak on that in the sense that it's like, no, they get the best players from all over the world to play in that league, so that's why it counts as the World Championship because so I would say that, but I get the point,
like you're definitely saying, it's diversifying. You're seeing more countries nowadays that actually have a real shot at, having a slice of the cake finally, which is awesome because that makes better, honestly, better viewing experiences come Olympic time.
For sure.
Because like back in the day, you're like, I don't gotta watch the Olympic basketball. U.S. is probably gonna win the gold.
Well, and they
whatever. And nowadays, it's like, who's gonna win the gold?
Well, yeah, and then they really started slipping to it. Like there was a few times where they kind of started slipping, and that's when you had like the Redeem team that had to come back and prove their that USA still on top and stuff like that. So there's there's stuff like that, but it's been one of those things where for years they've been the top dog, and it's it's very interesting that and like you said, it makes it more exciting.
It's a way better viewing experience. It leaves you on the edge of your seat a little more now.
Well, yeah, it's like, what's the point of a win if you just beat like scrubs all the time, right? It's like,
exactly,
to be great, you got to beat the greats. Which,
don't get me wrong, you go back and watch some of those Olympic highlight reels, and it does feel like you watching some like it'd be like USA versus Kazakhstan, and the NBA guys are just going up and just like dunking on them.
Yeah. So
you're like, why did I even bother looking at this? But you're right. It's a different era, man. It
is.
A lot of these international teams, they're starting to get some funding, but they're also getting real high talent now.
Yep.
It's so cool to see.
It's called parody. That's what it is.
Yep.
So moving on.
Tell us about parody.
No, I'm not going to tell you about parody. What I'm going to tell you about stuff that's upcoming besides the charity event. This Saturday. Well, are we releasing it Saturday, or are we recording it Saturday, or are we streaming it Saturday? I don't think we've decided this.
We haven't decided, but it seems like at some level all of the above, maybe.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We have a game show coming out. It's called Development Hell. Check it out. I don't know if we're streaming it or recording it. Check it out. What I'm really excited about, though, is that there is a book that just came out. Mm-hmm. Look out for the little guy. The Scott Lang story.
I forgot that was coming.
It has been ordered. It's actually being delivered.
It's yeah.
Unfortunately, there is no audiobook, but actually that is quite fortunate because right here on Red Shirts Remastered YouTube, there is going to be live readings of Look Out for the Little Guy by yours truly.
Oh, that's great.
So be prepared for that. And then also remember to share this charity link.
For the children.
For the children. Donate money. Share the link. Donate now. Come hang out with us next week. It's going to be lots of streaming. Streamathon. Thank God my dad gets here next week, because, yeah. It's going to be awesome.
And while you're at it, if you really want to go the extra mile and deep dive, research auto-inflammatory
conditions. Yes.
Conditions.
And on that
we don't call them diseases because they're not all diseases.
No. And
Chris taught me that.
Yes. We're going to... Jesus Christ. We're going to be back next Wednesday for another Rambling Red Shirts. But between now and then, we'll be doing a lot of streaming of other stuff. Saturday. Tonight, even maybe on Twitch. Who knows? Patrick, check your Discord.
It could be 8 a.m. on a Tuesday.
It could be. Who knows?
Anything possible.
Patrick, check your Discord. I think Spencer messaged you. I think. I don't know. But
I'll check.
Until next week, Gio, anything you'd like to say?
No, just shout out to all the beautiful people out there. Hope you're having beautiful people. Hope you're living your best life, and peace and love to everyone.
Beautiful people.
Da-na-na.
Patrick, say goodbye.
I really want ya. I really need ya. Goodbye, everybody.
And good night, and farewell, and yada, yada, yada.